Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Hello, you're welcome to today's edition of Money Radio on Leadership Podcast. Money Radio brings you the latest developments in Nigeria's business and economy cycles and issues of businesses around the world. My name is Innocent Odo, and today we're going to look at a very critical sector of the Nigerian economy, which has to do with science, technology, and innovation. It might interest you to know that the 7th edition of the Science, Technology, and Innovation Exposition is going on in Abuja, the nation's capital, where major agencies of the federal government under the Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation have gathered with stakeholders, and they're all brainstorming on particular ways to find solutions to the numerous challenges facing Nigeria in the area of science, technology, and innovation. And today we're going to look at some of the opportunities that this particular expo offers Nigeria, and how, of course, we're going to tackle some of the challenges that will emanate from some of the things that they are being discussed in that exposition. And so the theme for this program is very apt. According to the ministry's and communications team, it is tagged actualizing effective diversification of the Nigerian economy using science, technology, and innovation. And so we're going to look at how possible to actualize this particular objective using STI, especially now that the nation has enormous challenges, but of course not lacking in talent, not lacking in potential, not lacking in energy, probably lacking in the will to harness all the energies to be among those who are to be called the giants in terms of technological exploits around the world. I am not alone in the studio. I'm here with my regular host, and of course, an ICT expert, of course, a technology expert and science expert. We can, is an expert rolled, so many experts in so many areas rolled into one. I'm talking about no other person but Anil Jafaru. Anil, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you for all the experts. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So we're looking at the role of STI. STI, of course, is science, technology, and innovation in the diversification of the Nigerian economy. And so the federal government has actually captured it in the theme of this year, effective diversification of the Nigerian economy through science, technology, and innovation. If I ask you, Hanel, how do you see this particular theme for this year's edition of the Science and Technology Expo?
Well, when it has to do with knowledge and bringing out captivating and encompassing theme like this, we are not always lacking behind. So the theme can be art, but beyond the theme, what we need to.
Yes.
It's not just about creating a thing. We can create a very lucrative, a very delicious thing. But what is its essence if the necessary ingredient that brings the practical visibility of that thing, of the implementation of whatsoever discussions that we discuss in the stakeholders meeting, what will bring its practical visibility is not happening. Just as though science, technology, and innovation is just as though you have onions, you have Maggi, you have your salt, you have your raw food, you have your oil, but they are all scattered. You don't have a meal. You just have the ingredients.
Yes.
Just as you rightly mentioned in your introduction, that we have the human capital, we have this, we have the capacity, we have the intellectual know-how. But why is it that we are not finding it difficult to mix them together? And again, take note, when preparing a meal that you will serve, the time at which you put specific ingredient matters.
Yes, of course.
The kind of ingredient you put in matters. This what's it called? The heat of the fire matters.
Yes.
There are times you reduce the intensity of the fire. There are times you increase. So all these things, that means you need to have a proper chef.
Interesting. I like the analogy.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Talking about having a proper, mechanism to harness these resources. listening to some of the experts, especially the heads of the agencies of government, you listen to the Director General of, you say, the National Agency for Chemical Research Institute in Zaria, Professor Jeffrey Banimas, very interesting in his speech, very eloquent rather, very articulate. But then there is something that is lacking. Even in the chemical section, there are certain things that should be done that are not being done. So you wonder if it is all the time coming to have expositions every year. Last year we held one. We have not actually talked about how productive, how successful, in terms of what we can see, commercialized items that can, become competitive in the world. But that's because that's the end of it. So coming all together again to this year to serve us with the same slogans and the same themes, very interesting themes, and at the end of the day, we don't have something concrete. Honey, what exactly is lacking? Yes, you have given an analogy of some level of there's no articulation in some level of. So how do we now begin to create that synergy that will bring all these expertise together?
When we wanted to, at least the way we are fighting the power situation now in the country is quite different from the way we were fighting it before.
Yes.
Before we were walking blindly. We were just investing money into areas we don't know where it's coming from or what it will bring for. But now, I think it was in the last, during 2011 to 2015 administration, they brought out what is called a roadmap.
Yes.
The roadmap became a guide that even after that administration, the current administration is still working in line with the roadmap. So for us to grow and bring to reality the potency of our science, technology, and innovation, we have to first have a guide.
Yeah.
We need to have a guide in whatever area we want to leverage on. Is it innovation in the area of ICT? Is it innovation in the area of nuclear power? Let's have a guide. Let the guide be the thing that guides whosoever is championing it. Dubai, I've forgotten the year, but Dubai had launched. They had a minister of AI,
artificial intelligence.
Yes,
interesting.
So, and the aim beyond that, they also launched an agency who would facilitate the possibility of ensuring that people begin to go for tourism in the moon by 2100.
Wow.
The people that initiated that idea would have died. But there's a roadmap that will guide whosoever will be handle the baton, that will run with them and lead them. So you can't have. I believe one of the things that should have come, that should come from that stakeholders meeting should be, how do we get a roadmap? Now you have a roadmap. What are the things lagging?
Yes.
We need funds. Okay, how do you get funds? The roadmap spells it out. We need human capacity. How do you improve on your human capacity? Taking note of the gaps that the academic institutions are facing. We are going to this 1 year strike action that happened last year. We'll pay for it. It's all about building it in your guide. That there was a period for 8 years, for 8 months or 9 months. There was nobody graduated, nobody was in school. The academic sector was completely on shutdown. So there will be a time in future that will have that gap in human capital as a result of this strike. So you put it in your roadmap. So it's all about ensuring that you bring in like-minded persons together that will be able to develop a roadmap that is visible, workable, and something that anybody can work with.
Wow, very interesting to note that that roadmap should define the path that Nigeria should take in terms of realizing the dreams, because the dreams are really very ambitious, talking about this thing, the Minister of State for Science, Technology, and Innovation, Henry Ikechukwuiko, was speaking to media men the other day, saying that they believe that by 2030, 2030 is just about 7 years time, that Nigeria will join the rest of the global world in technology exploits and begin to also that's talking about being in the league among the top nations of the world in terms of technological exploits. And so that's an ambition. You can't stop people from having very gargantuan ambitions like that. But then how they are going to push that ambition to become reality has always remained the challenge. You have mentioned roadmap. Yes, it is proper to have a roadmap that will guide us into the future of STI. But then, if we have, are we going to, how consistent can we remain in this roadmap that we are talking about? It remains another kind of challenge. Then, of course, there's this issue of, you may say, funding that you raised. But I'm going to talk more on that funding because I know you are an advocate of funding things, especially on research and development. That will be when we'll come back from this short break. Stay tuned. We'll take a short break. We'll be back.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're on to Money Radio on Leadership Podcast, and we're discussing the role of science, technology, and innovation in the diversification of the Nigerian economy. I've been in the studio with Anil Jafaru. We're looking at the possibilities and, of course, the challenges of realizing the dream of taking Nigeria to the heights of desired of the country becoming one of the major technological countries of the world by 2030. And we are talking about the modalities and the mechanisms on how to realize that objective, judging by the exposition, Science and Technology Innovation Exposition going on in Abuja, the nation's capital, where our stakeholders and, of course, federal agencies are brainstorming to chart the way forward for Nigeria in this particular sector. Anil, before we went on that short break, you mentioned the issue of funding, which is very critical in any development sector. Now, 2 years ago, the president graciously announced that there was going to an earmark 0.5% of Nigeria's GDP to research and development, which is a very critical component of science, technology, and innovation. And that will, in his own words, encourage science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Those are the basic rudiments you need to grow in your technology sector. Now, 0.5% of GDP. Well, that's an improvement from the previous years, but then it is even not enough according to the standards set by the African Union, which made 1% of the GDP to be applied to research and development. Yes, 1%. Standards set by Africa. Of course, Nigeria is applying 0.5%, and that has not been implemented yet. The president just announced on Monday at the opening ceremony that the process of implementing that 0.5% will commence probably this year that we have just entered. But there's prospect that something has started changing in the way we are, building our own capacity towards joining the rest of the world in technological exploit. Do you think really that 0.5% of Nigeria's GDP that is dedicated to R&D will go a long way in actually making it possible for us to actualize these dreams?
It will go away, not a long way.
Okay.
Because improved funding means better implementation.
Yes.
So the little amount of money that they would get from that 0.5% can help in implementing some of these policies and some of their objectives. But again, why focus on government revenue? Why focus on government funding? Research is funded by the global citizens. Research is funded not only the government just creates that enabling environment. You can become a researcher today by looking for a problem and requesting for funds from the globe. It must not be a government. It must not be you going to a research institute to get funds. You can. There are different research institutes that are willing for people to come carry out research under them, and will be willing to fund you.
Interesting.
So we are just using this area of funding. I'm not ruling out the place of government funding, putting up huge sum of money for research. There is a place where the government can fund. In addition to that, the government can implement policies for private organizations to engage in research. Beyond that, the government can enable policies for student research to become implementable. These are what grows the industry, not by just bringing out the funding or bringing out the necessary fund that is required. You need to. I told you, I've mentioned it severally on this program.
Yes.
That research is not a one-off thing. Research is not something you do today and expect results tomorrow. Research is not something you invest into today and expect a return on investment immediately.
Yes.
Research is not something a politician look towards. It's only leaders that look towards the area of research. So when we begin to have those who tend to prioritize research, knowing fully well that nothing comes out of that research, and not minding the political the challenge it will bring to them politically as a result of them investing in not getting anything out of it.
Yes.
They can't go and say that we invested it's campaign season. No one can go and say we invested 200 billion in research. People will ask, so you invested that kind of money, where's the result?
Yes.
But meanwhile, research is not like that, because you can invest 200 billion and it will sink. In its reality, it will sink. So you can't go out and say that you invested 200 billion. So you need to now have leaders or political leaders who will be willing to who would not mind what the populace will say, but put in a chunk of money into that industry systematically, strategically, not just putting it into a basket that we know at the end of the day will go down. There are ways that can be implemented. You need to put in the area of knowledge, the building in the human capacity that would engage in this research. From there, those persons engage in research that solves humanity's challenges. There are so many problems in the world now, so many things that needs to be researched upon. Many people are researching on AI. There are different ways AI, today I'll just research AI learn things. There are different learning methodologies or training methodologies for AI. You can come up with your own methodology. Yet that will be faster and better than the one that exists. There are different problems in the world. Climate change is there. People are looking at green cloud. People are looking at green energy, green everything. Research are needed in those areas. There are so many things. The world is advancing. It advances on the basis of research. If we as a country now, a pledge has been made, usually the word pledge or commitment, it has been made that by 2030 we're going to be among What gives you the guarantee that by 2030 we'll be competing in the world? What are the mechanisms put in place to ensure that that is visible? What are the persons that would drive that? Who are the people that would not mind, that would transcend administration, governmental administration, not minding whose administration is in power to ensure that that policy will see the light of day? These are the things. You can't just come publicly because you need to say something and you make commitment like that without necessary effort to ensure that that is a reality. We don't do. If you do that, it's just going to end up like the Vision 2020 that is not in the past, the Vision 2010 that is not in the past, the old 7-point agenda that we had in the early 20s. It's not about bringing lofty ideas. It's beyond bringing lofty ideas or bringing things that will benefit us, but ensuring that we truly can see this thing become reality.
Yes, indeed, Haniel, we truly can see this thing become reality, but we need to measure up to the standards set for people who have succeeded. Are we looking at the methods adopted by the Chinese when they embarked on what I call the opening up of the economy through science, technology, and innovation? Are we also looking at the Meiji Restoration of the Japanese, through which method they also emerged as superpowers in science, technology, and innovation? And I'm talking about the other Asian tigers, the Malaysia, the Indonesia, and the rest of them, even as far as South America, Brazil, are also measuring up in those areas, and we can see some of the products and services that they have already started building on their own, making technology an indigenous product. Now, the government said we want to transform the Nigerian economy. What I regularly heard in the Expo this afternoon was taking Nigeria from consumption to production. I think that's the slogan of one of the presidential candidates. They have simply adopted it there at the exposition center. Well, it might just be like that. There's some kind of alliance in terms of thinking and in terms of ideas, following what the economy actually needs now to be able to transform itself to. Looking about commercializing some of those ideas that we have built over the years to become real products. We have not seen much of it. There are some token efforts here and there. There are some products here and there, but whether those products have actually met international standards is what we are not able to explain. Maybe some have done, but most of it I don't think have actually met the standard. So we need to measure up. We need to skill up our professionals, skill up our scientists. We need to give them the leverage to be able to harness those resources. We mentioned all the things that we need. For instance, the Federal Ministry of Federal Institute of Industrial Research in Oshodi were there yesterday in their own day. And they made mention of why Nigeria's Ajokuta State Company, for instance, hasn't worked when its counterparts in somewhere like South Korea had actually taken over the steel market and are generating about $70 billion from steel, productivity. So what is it that we are not having that others have taken advantage of, for instance, in the steel sector? They talk so much about chemical engineering and the rest of them. Yes, we are still where we are after all the talk. Research and development, very important, as you have mentioned. Funding it, very important. The brains are here, the expertise are here. But exactly, I want us to understand in specific terms what we are lacking. Is it the political will? Because it just cannot be only funding. Because funding, like I said, like you just mentioned, we can actually leverage on opportunities that exist in the global community, where there are people who are actually seeing products that are of creative nature, and they want to fund the research for that. So why are we not reaching out? What is the problem? Why the government agencies are working somehow? I see them working in silos. There is no synergy in the area that could actually bring the result that we need. Haniel, I want specifics in this area.
And when we're talking about raw materials that are natural gifts to a nation.
Yes.
You just need very mild research in those areas. You already have the raw materials. So now advancing in those areas would now mean ensuring that you mix different raw materials to produce something new.
Yes.
Yet we have steel company. That one is just a political. Though they may have whatever reason they want to call it, but we from the public would look at it as lack of political will. But there may be reasons behind it. But I don't want to go into deep into political reasons and reasons why it has not worked. But we're often talking about other areas like artificial-based resources. IT is artificial-based resources. There are many other products that all you need is combination of 1, 2, 3, 4. You bring a product. And now, one area I think why we can't, one reason why I believe we are not competitive in a global scale is in the area of patenting. Most persons have so many things. Most researchers are maybe negligent or not ignorant in this area. But patenting in this country is terrible. And what I mean patenting is, what is the state of our patenting rights? What is the power of our copyright compared to the global scale?
Yes.
Because I can't do 7 years, 8 years, 20 years of research, and I patent it in Nigeria. Then, and now because of that, now gives me the leverage to now go to the global world. And I took that product, or I take that product to the global stage, and somebody now brings a similar product. But I got this product first. Where did you patent it? Let me see your mechanisms, how it works. And we check and find out that both mechanisms work the same way. And the question is going to be, where did you patent yours? I patented mine in Nigeria. Where did you patent yours? I patented mine in the UK. So, okay, well, even though you patent yours in Nigeria and earlier than mine is patented in the UK, our patenting rights tend to be higher, more superior. Nigeria does not belong to I think there's an association.
Yes.
A global association of patent
global patent.
So
yes.
Where is Nigeria in that? Standard again is another challenge. It's Standard Organization of Nigeria. How many standards are they aligning with globally? Yet how many? We don't have, can you believe that we don't have one organization that assess course content? We are moving away from the regular structured-based learning to unstructured-based learning. You can come out of, you can decide to leave school, then go get a certification from here, bring them together, and it will be as though that you went for a four-year degree program. We are moving into the unstructured learning that enables you to design your learning pattern. There is no organization in this world, in Nigeria, that can streamline it to ensure that you get the required knowledge for you to even put into reality and research to bring forth products that will be beneficial for the populace. So there are a whole lot of things. There is a place of funding. There is a place of redesigning our curriculum to bring forth high intellectual persons that are driven by research. There is a place of government bringing the enabling environment to ensure that research is a product and not a service, because that's also another thing, and so many other things.
Wow, that's how much time we can take on this edition of Money Radio on Leadership Podcast. We've been talking about the role of science, technology, and innovation in Nigeria's diversification agenda. And we are premised this discussion today on the ongoing Science, Technology, and Innovation Exposition in the nation's capital at Eagle Square. If you have some time, you can stroll to that venue and have a look at products that some Nigerian agencies under the Ministry of Science, Technology, and Innovation have made available there. And of course, you can take some for yourself and for others. It's on that note that we draw the curtains on today's edition of Money Radio and Leadership Podcast, and we promise to bring you a bumper edition when next we come. Goodbye and remain blessed.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.